Hello and welcome back to the Project Hercules Diaries. Today I want to talk all about electronic ignition and the ideas for that. And I'll start with a big shout out for Kevin at Boyer Bransdon Electronic Ignition Systems. It's been very helpful over email. He sent me a few parts, he sent me this, and has just been really good to deal with. Seems to want to help, and hopefully Boyer Bransdon will come up with a working solution. So that's really good news. What I've got here, this is a plate probably off something like an XS 650 or something. This would go in place of the cam on the end of the cam shaft that open and closes the points on an old ignition system. So the opening and closing the points would be done by a cam that rotates at half engine speed. This would replace the cam, this plate with the magnets on, and instead of having a set of points, in this here is a small coil with a post on. As the magnet goes close to the post like that, it induces a magnetic field through the post, which induces then a current in the coil, and those two little wires there on the top, they will pick up that signal as each one of those magnets goes past, and that goes off to a little electronic black box that tells you the engine position and the engine speed, and that works out at what point to fire the spark to give you the spark at the right time, the right advance curve, that type of thing. It's all solid state electronics these days. But the issue that I've got is that I don't have a standard plate of this size, because on my engine the plate that I'm going to put the magnets on, as you can see, is a little bit bigger, and that might present an issue. So I've got, this is the plate I intend to use. The magnets will be diametrically opposed on the plate just like before, but the closest I can get them together is about there, and the furthest apart I can have them is about there. So I'm planning to drill and tap this plate so I can bolt the magnets as far apart as possible or as close together as possible, send that away to Kevin at Boyer Bransdon along with this pickup, and he can then do some tests and work out, is it going to work with the pickup inside the magnet, is it going to work with the pickup outside the magnet, and is it going to work with the magnet in the inner position or the outer position. Ideally they'll all work, and it gives me a few options, but at least if they do have to be quite close together at the inner position with the magnet with the post on the inside, it's not too far away from the original diameter, so hopefully that will work. The reason I can't get them any closer together than that is that if you look at the timing cover, this is the timing cover, this plate with the magnets on will be oriented that way around, and it will be very close to the timing cover here. So in position it's going to look a little bit like that, with the magnet very close to the edge. So I can't see that very well. So that means that the closest the magnets can be together is clearing this centre boss. The centre boss we had made slightly oversized because we weren't really sure or certain at the time where the hole was going to come out. Remember, this hole is a critical distance from the end of the crankshaft, because that it's the chain tension we need to get right, and also the height of the sleeve. What I do need to do is pop this back into the faceplate, and then I can turn this round so that this becomes concentric and just thin down that boss a bit, but it's still going to be about 60mm diameter, so the minimum distance between the magnets will be just above 60mm. This post is going to be mounted on the outside round here somewhere, and depending on where the magnets are, it might be further out, it might be further in. Ideally I'll just cut a small scoop in here with a spot face cutter and make that really neat and close up in there, but it'll be where it needs to be to fire the bike. So where does this go? Well, this goes onto the sleeve drive crank. This is a sleeve drive crank that goes into the bearing in the timing side. There's a big bearing around here, and this drives the sleeve up and down. I've made this spacer now. This spacer here is there because when you've got the chain on to drive the sleeve drive crank, the chain has to clear the bearing which finishes here, and without that spacer the chain, the pins of the chain would be scraping along the engine case here or the side of the bearing. So I needed a spacer plate there. That spacer plate has been made. This magnetic plate will be popped onto here, and I'm going to cut some grooves, slots around the outside, so that by bolting this onto the sleeve drive crank I can change the static ignition timing, move the magnets in relation to where the pin is for the sleeve for top dead center. So static timing, that will be magnets at top dead center, and I can put, you know, 15-20 degrees of manual advance on, or static advance, before I lock this down. So I've got that adjustment there for the magnets to fire the engine. So this obviously will be inside this bearing here. Hopefully I can get this in without too much messing around. Yeah, there we go, and you can see in situ that the magnet will be in the slot which is just there. So the magnet will just sit in that slot, and the post will be just in here, just poking through next to the magnet. So hopefully that will all work. It's just a case of finishing the job when I get around to it, as putting the slot, putting a couple of drilled and tapped holes in here to bolt this plate to it, putting the slots around the outside of the plate so I can adjust that timing, drilling and tapping the plate so I can put the magnets in, and then sending it all away. But it's been quite busy. There's a lot of other stuff going on. That's as far as I've got. When I've done those jobs, I'll post another video, and then you'll see how we're getting on, and fingers crossed that will be the last problem fixed. How do you ignite the bike? I'll then have a working ignition system, and it's just a case then of finishing the mechanical comparts and assembly. Superb. Thanks for watching. A bit of a long one, but there was a fair bit of talking to be done there. And as ever, I'll speak to you all soon.